New Wave Community Media.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to Beats Community Voices. I'm your host, Imani, and we are here together, family, for our 24th episode. Wow. I'm excited because we've been consistently gathering here to listen to some cool tunes, talk about some interesting topics. Hopefully you've had the opportunity to share us with someone. Maybe it's a conversation starter. I'm excited. This week we are celebrating Black History Month. Now, like I mentioned last episode, by the way, if this is your first time joining us, you have 23 other episodes before you are all caught up. And if you are back with us, hey y'all already know how it goes. So happy Black History Month. I said last episode that we can celebrate Black history any and every time, but this episode specifically is geared towards a celebration. Now, before we get too deep into our topic, make sure you are here with us every other Friday, like I said, on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcast. We hope that you feel inclined to subscribe so you can be notified about our latest episodes. Follow us, leave a review, a comment, email us your thoughts. And if you are an artist, a creative, writer, singer, rapper, musician, storyteller, we want to hear from you. So you can visit us at New Wave Media. That's nuwavemedia.org/Beats Community Voices. And Beats, we have a little flair to it. It's BEATZ Community Voices. There's an artist application. You can fill it out. See if you can share your work with the world. That's what we're here for. Like I said, we are a community. So, Black History Month. Did you know that each year Black History Month has a theme? Well, if you didn't know, now you do. The 2024 theme is African Americans and the arts. So this episode is kind of geared towards acknowledging and celebrating the arts. Now, before we get into the music, I know you all like the tunes. I want to give a little bit of background, a little bit of history. So I'm sure, as you can imagine, most historical events sometimes take a little bit of development. Like, it may take years, decades even, for a month of recognition or a holiday to get its current importance or its current understanding within our community and culture. So I gathered a little bit of information from the Association for the Study of African American Life and Study, and they specifically mentioned Carter G. Woodson when he sent out a press release announcing the Negro History Week in February of 1926. Now, he celebrated or advocated for February due to Abe Lincoln and Frederick Douglass's birthdays being in February. And rather than focusing on those two men, however, he believed that the Black community should focus on the countless Black men and women who had contributed to the advance of human civilization. So that's our framework this week. And we're going to kind of explore the arts of it. We're going to take it, we're going to take it there. So while you perhaps do your Googles, or maybe you're just going along with our flow, check out You and Me on Clouds High by Andreas Dahlbeck. that song kind of sets the mood for our episode. I'm feeling exceptionally soulful this week. I don't know. Tell me how you like it. Tell me how you like it later. Send us an email. Let me know. We love the feedback. Now, again, if you have been here before, you know I love my Googles. And in celebration of Black History Month, the National Gallery of Art has a guided tour of Black artists for community members in the DC area. And we're not just talking about pictures, we're talking about paintings, sculptures, photographs. You can actually check out the website. They have recent acquisitions, educator resources, and information about Black artists that you should know. Now, I can't really... I don't know. Do I have the ability to describe certain art? I guess I could describe certain artworks over the air, but instead, I'll just encourage you to you can go to the National Gallery of Art's website. You can go to your local art gallery or museum of art and check out some of the artworks that are created by Black artists. Look online. There's a wealth of information, a wealth of artistic creation that you can view for yourself throughout the history of the U.S. and beyond. There's so much. So that's my disclaimer for the visual arts. Go look at it. There's several events or several exhibits rather that I have on my list for 2024, including one at the High Museum of Art in Atlanta. But also Swiss Beats and Alicia Keys have invited the world to look at some of their private collection. The exhibit is called Giants. It's based in Brooklyn. So I feel a little New York trip coming up this summer when it's nice and warm and not cold. I don't want to bundle up. I'll be checking that out. So while you think about where you would like to go to appreciate some Black art, listen to Okra Gumbo by El Flaco Collective. perhaps while you're roaming through the gallery, you can listen to some of the songs that we've selected for the week, or the entire podcast. That's an option. Now, for our singers, or one of our singers rather, I wanted to look up one of the first African Americans to record commercially, and I found George W. Johnson. Now, Mr. Johnson was formerly enslaved, and he was discovered singing on the streets of New York. According to the Library of Congress, his specialty songs were the Laughing Song, and sorry if we have some sensitive listeners, but it's history. The second song is called The Whistling Coon. Now, these songs came out in 1890, or he was discovered in 1890 rather, and the songs were likely the two best-selling records for the decade of the entire 1890s. Copies were shipped throughout the U.S. and sold overseas. However, we need to get my transitions together. Usually I'm quick on my feet. And by the early 1900s, the Laughing Song was still popular, but record companies have found ways to make large numbers of duplicates from a single master recording. There were no royalties at that time, and his services were no longer needed to mass produce. And unfortunately, he died on January 23rd, 1914, at the age of 67, in poverty, alone, and forgotten. So today, on our 24th episode, Beats Community Voices, we remember and recognize Mr. George W. Johnson for his contribution to, he obviously was a trendsetter, a trailblazer, and we say his name, we acknowledge him and recognize his artistic work, his vision, his abilities, and his importance in Black and American history. So while you look him up, if you're interested in learning more about him, like I said, I learned more about him on the Library of Congress website. Our next song is Late Night Jam by Rem DeLang Soundtracks. Now, I told y'all I was feeling soulful. I'm not going to explain it anymore. The the evidence is in the song. So the next person that I want to highlight, because it is the next two people actually are important to me in my growth and development as a young woman who's always enjoyed and appreciated the arts, from growing up dancing, ballet, tap, jazz, and modern, and even doing a little bit of dancing in college, to playing instruments when I was growing up, the piano and the saxophone. Seeing representation is important, and seeing black dancers and musicians, people who look like me, was always so inspiring and motivating. So let's discuss Alvin Ailey, the dancer, choreographer, and visionary. Mr. Ailey founded the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater on March 30th, 1958, and he was just 27 years old. He was awarded numerous distinctions, including the Kennedy Center Honor in 1988, in recognition of his extraordinary contribution to American culture. In 2014, he posthumously received the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the country's highest civilian honor, in recognition of his contributions and commitment to civil rights and dance in America. Now, my mom was recently in town, and we had the honor to see the Ailey School perform at the Fox Theater here in Atlanta. I mean, stellar. I've seen the Ailey School perform several times. This was the first time in, I guess, about 5 years. Do you want to be moved? Do you want movement to speak to you, your soul, your spirit? Check out the Ailey School if you ever have the opportunity. I saw them combine new school dance with some classic works, and it was I can't say enough. So yes, shout out to Alvin Ailey. When you say the name, we know the prestige, we know the honor. And yeah, that's just a little bit of background on a true visionary, someone who saw or felt a purpose and a passion and has created something that has literally lasted the decades. I mean, the longevity, it speaks for itself. Chef's kiss. I know, I can't say enough. And the next song that we have, it's our fourth song, so we have one more segment left. Oh. Our next song is Chased by Chasers by John Runefelt. Now that song takes me somewhere. I guess I feel like I'm in a chase. I feel like I have on some really cool like tinted shades, and I'm feeling real grown and sexy, very 70s, baddie, hottie. Where does it take you? While you think about that, and I hope you're enjoying our episode, please check us out. We're here every other Friday. Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts. Share with someone in your life. Perhaps you learned something and you'd like to share with someone else. That is what we're here for. Now, the last but not least of our list of noteworthy individuals this week is the one and only Stevie Wonder, just because he is so near and dear to me. Now, I found a list of his accomplishments online. We know that I can't say enough. I truly can't say enough. But in 1982, he was inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame. In 1989, he was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. In 1999, he became the youngest honoree of the Kennedy Center Honors. In 2004, he won the John Mercer Award in recognition for a lifetime of outstanding creative work. In 2005, the Library of Congress added his 1976 double album Songs in the Key of Life to the National Recording Registry, which recognizes recordings that are, quote, culturally, historically, or aesthetically important and or inform, reflect in the life of the United States, end quote. Now, Atlanta, if you have a chance, there is a collective called Art Melanated that has an exhibit at the Thompson Hotel in Buckhead. It opened up earlier this month. It'll be there through April 27, 2024. There are paintings, sculptures, rare photographs, and memorabilia that honor Stevie Wonder and his legacy. I sat during a panel recently and listened to the artists talk about how important his music, activism, and legacy were to them, and how that inspired their works of art. And I could not help but to think about how his music has narrated my life. From my parents walking down the aisle to Ribbon in the Sky, to my mom writing him a letter and inviting him to my 4th birthday party per my request. And yes, we still have the letter. He actually sent me a signed photo and a children's book. And y'all didn't know Stevie Wonder had a children's book where you press the buttons. It's like a music book. Yeah, I got that. To me listening to Ass with my father in some of his last hours. Like I said, Stevie Wonder has narrated my life, very near and dear to me, a child prodigy, a musical genius, someone who can and has withstood time, has stood on principle, has continued to thrive. I'm obviously very passionate about all of these individuals and just happy that I have the platform to highlight them and celebrate Black History Month. Now, our last song before we get to our mindful minutes. Oh, I hate to part ways, but that just means we'll see each other again soon. But our last song is titled Evading Projectiles by Arc de Soleil. Truly hope you enjoyed our Black History episode. I hope you enjoyed our soulful, funky sounds this week. I hope you feel inspired to look up some of the Black artists that we have discussed or explore and discover new Black artists from throughout history to now. There's so much creativity, so much passion, so much genius that we can highlight and explore, not just in February, but every day. Now, last week I know I had a poem by Langston Hughes, but today I have another one because it was Langston Hughes. We know that body of work is expansive. This is titled The Dream Keeper. Again, it's by Langston Hughes. Bring me all of your dreams, you dreamers. Bring me all of your heart melodies, that I may wrap them in a blue cloud cloth, away from the too rough fingers of the world. That's so sweet. I have my interpretation of that. But I'll leave yours up to you. Cherish that. Or perhaps you can write into us and say how you interpret it. Whose perspective is he writing from? Who are the dreamers? Just a couple tidbits for thought. Now that is the end of our episode 24. Our next episode is going to be something very special. So I won't say I hope you'll join us, because I already know you will. I'll see you back in 2 weeks. Stay well, stay warm, stay hydrated, love on your people. Take some time to take a deep breath, show yourself some grace, peace, and blessings.